Hey friends, it's Missy again. Thanks so much for stopping in. I'm back with another layout for International Scrapbooking Day. This one is for Pinkfresh Studio, and there are a whole bunch of challenges posted over on the Facebook group, and my challenge is to incorporate a cut file into your project. And this is actually one of the new freebie cut files that you can get, and I think it just went live yesterday. So it's very new. It's the newest one, and it's the cutest little scalloped rainbow. And so I'm going to make a layout using it. And I cut it on white cardstock, and I thought I would do something a little different. I'm going to cut it in half and kind of switch places and do a half rainbow on one side and a half rainbow on the other, and just kind of run it off the page. And I instantly knew where I wanted to put my photos. So I always say that using a cut file like this is a great way to get your ideas flowing. If you're stuck and you can't come up with an idea, cut files are great because sometimes they can pretty much just tell you, where to put your photos, where to put your embellishments, and it just makes it a little bit easier. I'm going to use some thick white cardstock as my background, and I'm just using some clear gesso here to prep my paper. So what I decided to do was go back and use the inside pieces of the rainbow, and I went ahead and put some gesso on those too off camera, but I'm going to watercolor those, and these are the Pinkfresh Studio liquid watercolors, and I just thought I would do a little gradual pink to soft orange to yellow to greenish blue on these rainbows, because I'm going to wind up cutting these arcs in half to fit inside the cut files. So this is just one idea of how you can use a cut file. One of the most popular ways to use a cut file is to back it with patterned paper. That is an easy technique that I love. I do it all the time. You could also use a cut file as a stencil. You could cut it out, lay it on your paper, and spray mists or paint over it. Lots of ideas. I'm going to basically use mine as kind of a little puzzle. I'm just going to put the pieces back inside of it, but I'm going to pop them up to give them some dimension. So it'll still look like the cut file. It's just going to be a different effect, and you'll see what I'm talking about once we get to that point. But this is an easy mixed media technique also because there's not a whole lot to it. You just paint the arcs whatever colors you want, and they're pretty small, so this did not take very long at all. But I did, like I said, I did put clear gesso on these because I just used, regular textured cardstock, so it's not meant to handle this much liquid. So the gesso is going to toughen up the paper a little bit. It's going to create a barrier and allow the colors to kind of run and blend on top of the paper instead of just soaking right through and tearing the paper. So I'm using some pinks, a little bit of red, a little bit of yellow mixed with that, created that light, soft orangey tone. And then I'm going with the yellow, and then I'm going to bleed that into some of the sky blue, which is my favorite color. And so it's going to create, not really a green, but you get the idea that it's a rainbow. And I think this turned out really cute. And so I know, if you love the look of mixed media, but you don't want to make a big old mess, then this cut file is a good way to do it because, like I said, these pieces are pretty small. Anyway, all right, so let's move on. So I got those dry, and now I'm going to kind of see what this is going to look like. I think this is going to look cute. What I think I'm going to do is add a sky, sort of an abstract, messy sky on the background. And I'm going to go back to that sky blue, and I'm going to use the packaging technique. So all I did was I squirted some onto some plastic, sprayed a little bit of water on it, then I'm going to flip it over and just smudge, smudge, smudge. And this is another easy technique if you want to try some mixed media, but brushes are not your thing. I'm not really a brush person. I do use brushes a lot, but I don't really prefer to have brush strokes all the time on my background, I guess is what I'm trying to say. So I prefer this messy, runny, splotchy look. And the packaging technique is a great way to do that. And I do like to use a brush to kind of blend the edges like this. So you're still getting that abstract, messy look, but it doesn't look like you just took your paintbrush and, you know, made strokes, if that makes sense. So this is going to be sort of my abstract sky. I just love that color. I think it's so pretty. And I'm not going to color the whole background. I did want the white to show because I wanted this to be light and airy. And I felt like blue was the best color to put on the background. And that didn't take long either because the packaging technique sort of smushed the paint everywhere. And so it was pretty much done in a few minutes. I'm going to see if I need to add more or if that's enough. I think I like where it's at. So while that's still wet, I'm going to give some texture to the clouds. And again, these are the cutout pieces that were inside the clouds. So I'm going to just distress the edges with my little edge distresser tool there. And then give a little bit of depth to the clouds. And so I'm going to go back in with the sky blue color there and the brush and just dab a little bit around the edges and smudge it with my fingers. And I didn't put any gesso on the clouds because I wasn't going to overload it with water. I'm just kind of going around the edges there. And this just kind of gives a little bit of 3D effect, I guess, so they're not completely flat white. All right, so I'm going to bring back the cut file and kind of test it out and see how this is looking. I couldn't figure out which cloud went where, and then I realized that I had the wrong cut file turned backwards, so there we go. Got it figured out. All right, so I got those completely dry. I got the background dry. Now we're going to start to actually build the layout. So what I'm going to do is glue the actual cut file flat down to the background. And you're still going to be able to see the lines of it. It's just not going to be backed and popped up off the page. Instead, I'm going to have the actual cut file flat, and then I'm going to pop up all the inside pieces. And I'm not going to do anything with the scallops. I'm going to leave the scallops as they are, just as little, I guess, details. I didn't want to add, you know, lots of different pattern papers or anything. I wanted those to be just subtle. And there are my two pictures. I was going to do just one photo, but then I decided to go with two, and I went with black and white. And I'm going to position them just like that. I'm going to tuck them kind of into the clouds there. And I put the one on the bottom because my daughter is looking up to the left. So it looks like she's kind of looking up at the other photo of herself. All right, so I'm cutting the arcs in half, and I'm going to put those back in their spots, and I really like how this looks. I was very excited because this is the image that I had in my mind, and so many times I make a layout of an image I have in my mind, and it turns out terrible, and I don't like it. So I actually love how this looked. So that excited me. So it encouraged me to, you know, keep going and see what else I could add to it. I'm just adding some adhesive foam behind everything, and then I decided I wanted to stitch. So I took the adhesive foam off the back of all these arcs, and I went and put in the pink thread, the orange thread, the yellow, and the blue, and I just did some little crazy stitching on there because I just wanted to add some texture, and I thought that it would look cute and give it a little bit more of, you know, a little bit of detail instead of just flat color. Okay, so now that I've got all of the stitching done and all of those little inner pieces are ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and glue all of those down because I know that that's where they're going and that's not going to change. And I'm using Scotch tacky glue in my bottle there, and it works great. I love it. It is my go-to glue. All right, so there we go. The background is ready to go, so I'm going to bring in the pictures here, and I already know where they're going. I am going to add a little bit of white tissue paper behind there because I just want to give it a little bit of messy, subtle border of some sort because I'm not going to bring in any pattern papers on this layout. This is going to be strictly what I have here, and then I'm going to go through embellishments, and I'm going to be using the My Favorite Story collection because they match these colors perfectly. And then I forgot that when I went to tuck my photos in there, kind of underneath the scallops, that I had glued the cut file down, duh. So I had to get my little Cricut scrapey tool out there to kind of loosen up the scallops so I could tuck my photos in there, because I did like the way the scallops looked overlapping the edges of the photos there. So yeah, I've had that little spatula for so long, and it has come in handy quite a few times. Okay, so now I'm going to start embellishing. These are the My Favorite Story puffy stickers, and I just kind of went through and, pulled out some floral pieces, anything that matched. I really did want to add some floral clusters, so I went through the floral die cuts here, and I wanted to incorporate some of the black and white florals and leaves. I've yet to use any of those on a layout. I don't think I've used those yet, and this was the perfect layout to do that because I have black and white photos. And so I felt like those die cuts, while they have black on them, and black is such a striking color, they're still pretty subtle because there's so much white. And there's my daughter in the lower left-hand corner. I don't know if you see her popping in and out. She's trying to give me kisses while I was making this layout. Oh, there's her little hand. Yeah. She likes to grab my face and pretty much attack it. And I have to kind of just roll with it because it's the sweetest thing ever. So I'm going to use, let's see, several yellow pieces. I'm going to use this little light blue puffy sticker camera, and I've got some pink flowers. I'm going to pull in some of these chipboard circle stickers. Again, they're the perfect colors. They match. Some of them have pictures, or not pictures, but images. Some of them have phrases, and I actually use quite a few of those. And I like how this looks with the little clusters at the end of the rainbow right on top of the clouds there. And then I'm going to do a little bit of clustering above and below the photos there. And I really do like how this is looking, so I'm going to start to bring in some thread before I glue it down. I'm going to just use some of the light blue color thread on both of the clouds. I love how that looks. It just adds a nice pop of that blue color. Since most of the things right there in that little cluster are not blue, I have the little blue circle piece and then the blue thread. And then I'm going to do the same thing over on the left. I'm going to add some white cardstock behind the open circle of that little camera. I wind up putting something in there, but I didn't want to just leave it blank. So I did back that with some cardstock. And I'm just going to add some glue and glue it all down, bring in some more of the blue thread for this side, and stick it all down. I can't believe how quickly this layout came together because I'm the world's slowest scrapper, and this came pretty quickly to me. So that was pretty cool because I usually take forever. I'm so indecisive and slow. Gluing the photos down. And then I'm going to try a couple of other embellishments. I couldn't really find the perfect spot for them, so I don't wind up using them. I do use that little piece right there that says only you. And then I was trying to figure out what to do for a title. I wanted to use one of these really pretty scripty words. And I like that one there that says sunny, and I wanted to put it right there, but I couldn't see it because there was so much shadowing in the photos with the black and the whites and the grays that I'm going to have to put it on some cardstock first. I did just fill in that little hole there in the camera with an XO puffy sticker. All right, so before I glue the big floral clusters down, I'm going to add in some thread, and I'm going to go with pink up at the top. And that pink thread, I could not get it tangled the way I wanted it, so I had to fight with it. And I finally just say, okay, I'll come back to you later. It was getting on my nerves. I know it's always a big tangle, but I have certain ways that I like the tangle to look, and it just was looking like a hot mess. So I finally just said, I'll deal with you later. And now we're going to come down to the bottom, and for this section I'm going to use kind of the coral slash, it's not really orange, but it's more of a coral color down there at the bottom. And that one cooperated a little bit easier. For something that looks like it just fell out of the sky and looks messy and random, I spend way too much time making it look that way. Is that weird? Yes. I'm adding another one of those chipboard circle stickers that says favorite spot. I had to use that because she's in the pool and that is her favorite spot. And then this is what I did to make Sunny a little bit more visible. I'm just going to stick it to some white cardstock and then cut it out with a little white border around the edges. And this just kind of makes it a little bit, gives it some separation when I place it on top of the photos there. It's easier to read because sometimes things are so busy that it makes it hard to read a word or see an image if there's so much going on. And even though it's black and white, there's still a lot of busyness in the photo there, in the pattern of her swimsuit. And it is still kind of hard to see here in the film, but in the final photo and in person, you can see it. And I hardly ever stick anything in the middle of a photo like that. But in this case, I feel like it works because, you know, I'm not covering up her face, and I feel like that's the perfect spot for the title. And it's just going to be Sunny, just that one word, sweet and simple. And I like that it's yellow. I think it's the perfect color. And then the last thing I'm going to do is add in my journaling right there in the bottom. I drew in my lines, and I'm using my black fine tip Sharpie. And I think that's it. That's the final layout. I know it looks really bright. It was hard to photograph this because it was really, really bright today. And there's so much white going on in this layout. It was really hard to get it photographed. But hopefully you can see everything. And I hope this gives you some ideas to try with this rainbow cut file. I would love to see how you use it. I hope you help. I hope you help. That doesn't make any sense. I hope you participate in some of our challenges because there's going to be a lot of inspiration. All the DT members have challenges going up. There's prizes, all kinds of fun stuff going on over there. So make sure you check out in the Facebook group. I'll put the link down below. If you are not a member, you can join us over there and have a good old time scrapping away. So thank you for watching, and I'll see y'all in my next video. Have a great day.